what to say about what happened in Tennessee yesterday, huh? I watched as much as was televised, and one thing that was very irritating to me was the way both CNN and MSNBC kept overriding what these two young men were saying, each in his own turn, with their unnecessary political commentary. You know, I just wish, when there is an earth-shaking event, which is what this was yesterday, occurring, that the commentators, as much as I respect most of them, would just shut up. You know, we don't need you to interpret for us what is being said. I don't know what to add to all the commentary, all the tragedy, all the glory, in a manner of speaking, that occurred yesterday in Tennessee. By glory, I mean the glory that comes with the full exposure of how racist this particular body of white Christian legislators in Tennessee. It's just shocking that they are so in your face, blatantly racist. How did the Christian religion get to this point? I'm serious. I mean, day after tomorrow is their big-ass holiday. You know, without the rising of the dead Jesus, there wouldn't be any Christianity, right? Of course, that's another holiday that the bastards stole from pagan people, Celtic people. But I digress. But to watch as I did yesterday, as much as I could, which was all of it, except when I got tired of hearing the commentary from all the pundits. But to see those two young men, and yes, even the white woman, I felt very sorry for her. I really did. By one vote, it was determined that, as she said, the difference between the two young men and her is the color of their skin. By one vote, she was not thrown to the street, Gloria Johnson. But Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, lynched. Abso-fucking-lutely lynched on national television for the whole world to see by the white devils, the white Christian demons. In this particular instance, loose in the Tennessee Capitol. How vile, how filthy these people are. How disgusting. And the Speaker of the House there, what the hell was his name? I forget. I'll come across here in a second. What an absolute slime ball this son of a bitch is. I mean, just a total slime ball. And you know where he's going to be tomorrow or Sunday? Yes, he'll be in his church, down on his knees, praising either Trump or God, probably both. But yesterday, he was acting like the racist son of a bitch that he really is. Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the Tennessee House of Representatives. And this miserable son of a bitch had the temerity to deny that race was at play, and said the reason the white legislator, and I do feel sorry for her to be identified that way, as not her color, but she escaped these racist pig bastards. But Cameron Sexton had the balls to say that it's not about race. And besides, the white representative's arguments might have swayed the members not to throw her out. You lying, miserable prick, you. Oh, Cameron Sexton. Oh, my goodness. But these are people who would, if Jesus and Donald Trump showed up at the front door of their churches, all of these bastards across the country, these Christian fascists, if both Jesus and Trump showed up tomorrow or Sunday, they would beat the shit out of Jesus, stone him to death, rip his goddamn hair out of his head, rip his garments on, kick him to the curb, and invite Trump in and cover Trump with kisses and pats on his ass and how much they love him. Come on. That's pretty extreme, but you know I'm right. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. So Justin Pearson and Justin Jones now become, rightfully so, notorious in the good sense of the word. I'm not going to say they're famous, not yet. But what both of these young men had to say yesterday, I think the first one who spoke, Justin Pearson, was the most powerful. I think it was Jones who actually pretty much gave a sermon as part of his so-called 5 minutes at the podium. Oh, Jesus. After the vote was taken on these two young black men individually, the visitors' gallery exploded with screams and boos. And the people, and let me digress just a moment. What was heartening to me was that the vast majority of people who were in the Capitol in Tennessee were white and young. That is where the salvation of this country lies. Young black folk are pointing the way. Young white folk have got to follow in masses. They have the power. These old white Christian devils are losing power. That's why they're doing shit like what they did in the state capitol in Tennessee yesterday. It's vengeance. They know they're going down. They know they're useless. They know they're a bunch of goddamn rotting dinosaurs. But it was a positive sight for me, even though the presence of all these young white people didn't sway the pig racist Christians that were in the chamber voting to throw two young black men out for protesting gun violence, for protesting the fact that these white Christian males will not pass legislation to save the lives of children. These fuckers don't care about children. Oh my God. The visitors' galley, after the votes were taken, was a mass of screams, and out in the hallway also screams of shame and fascists. Finally, it just makes me feel a little bit of relief to hear young white people using the F word, fascists. This is what they are. You're a regular listener of this podcast, and prior to this podcast, radio show, and prior to that, God knows what, you've been hearing me use the F word, the fascist word, for 20 years. And references to the Nazis, references to Mussolini's fascist attitudes and policies. At a time when so many commentators were saying, no, the term fascist, they're conservatives, they're Republicans in a pig's ass. These are fascists. The fact that they are Christian fascists makes it doubly worse. I don't mean to imply that I felt good because these young whites were using the term fascist. But at least it's out in the open now. At least people are not afraid of the F word. That's what these people are. And they are determined. Do you think that the majority of the people in Germany in the 20s and 30s wanted a leader who would do to their country what Adolf Hitler did? No. They wanted a leader that would save them from the economic chaos they were in, as was the rest of the world, the Depression, and the sickness from the flu of 1918, 1919, 1920, the devastation of having to pay reparations after World War I. They wanted someone who would lead them out of. They didn't want someone who would put 6 million people in furnaces and gas chambers. They didn't want somebody who would wipe out the male population of Germany. I hope that the term fascist now will be front and center in reports on these bastards. We have the template of what not to do. Not to allow these filthy Christian fascists to get more control than they have now. The Democratic Party has been so lax, so weak, so goddamn refusing to identify them as what they are. So look what the Democratic Party has allowed to grow in this country. A cancer that is determined to destroy this country. It's determined to destroy this country. There's no question about that. That is the ultimate goal. And boy, do I fault the Democrats for allowing this shit to go this far. There was a time when these Republicans were what they are supposed to be, a minority party who occasionally may have come up with a good idea that could have been incorporated and was incorporated into legislation. But that was a long time ago. In the past 40 or 50 years, these rancid fascist bastards have done nothing good for the American people. And the speaker, this Christian pig, Cameron Sexton, this racist son of a bitch, said that the actions taken were necessary to avoid setting a precedent that would allow disruptions of House proceedings through protest. Oh, you miserable, lying little lizard, you. Oh, my God. One of these Christian fascists said, a representative said that the three Democrats had, quote, effectively conducted a mutiny, end quote. You're goddamn right it was, you moron. This representative's name is Balso, Gino Balso. He said the three Democrats had effectively conducted a mutiny. Yes, you son of a bitch. And eventually, like Captain Bligh, maybe, huh? You'll be put in a rowboat and pushed out to sea, you son of a bitch. Justin Pearson told reporters yesterday that in carrying out the protest, the three Democrats had broken, quote, a House rule because we're fighting for kids who are dying from gun violence and people in our communities who want to see an end to the proliferation of weaponry in our communities, end quote. But this Christian bastard, Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the Tennessee House, he said they were disrupting the procedure. You son of a bitch. Then yesterday, thousands of people went to the state capitol in Nashville to support Jones and Pearson and Johnson, cheering and chanting outside. If you watched any of it, I'm sure you could hear the people outside. And then these three Democrats held hands as they walked onto the floor of the Tennessee House. And Pearson raised a fist during the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen to that. And they were all given a little bit of time to defend themselves. Justin Jones, said the Christian terrorists, although he didn't use that term, responded to the shooting with a different kind of attack. This is what he said, quote, we called for you all to ban assault weapons, and you respond with an assault on democracy. Oh, God. Do you have any doubt? I mean, I know you didn't before this. If you're white, I'm assuming you had no doubt before what happened in Nashville yesterday as to the racist nature of just about every single white legislature in these various state governments in the South, and a lot of them in the North, too. I'm not just going to pick on the South. You know, racism is a universal sickness that everybody in this country has had jammed into them. Everybody, black and white. Black folk as victims of it, white folk as perpetrators of it. We all of us white people, I've said this so many times, not going to get into it again, but this was part of mother's milk as we were growing up. You know it as well as I do. It was there. It was always there. It's still there. This racist bullshit. Thank God this new generation is saying no, no. Because that's what it is, a sickness. A sickness. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.